Power and corruption are two sides of the same coin, and Lex makes a fluid transition from one to the other with this next question.
Well, you have been involved in several corruption cases. How much corruption is there in Israel? And how do you fight it in your own party and in Israel?
From a linguistic perspective, it's really interesting to see how Lex structures this question. In the first sentence, Lex seems to ask Netanyahu about his own corruption. But in fact, it's not a question, it's a statement of well-known facts. Lex then switches directly from Netanyahu's corruption to corruption in Israel and in Netanyahu's party. Strictly speaking, these are two separate topics. And as an interviewer, Lex should know better. Compound question. Again, if we take the first part here as a question, which I assume it's supposed to be, compound question, meaning asking more than one question, is always a tricky issue, because usually the addressee of these compound questions, they always pick the easier question and neglect the more difficult one. It also shows me in the way this question is structured that Lex is mindful not to antagonize Netanyahu, or that Lex is not prepared to go all the way, because how he puts this question offers Netanyahu an easy way out. So what Lex is doing here is, he's putting his finger in Netanyahu's wound, or in one of Netanyahu's wounds, but he makes sure it's not too hurtful by offering an immediate deflection. A deflection away from Netanyahu and onto Israel and Netanyahu's party. To his credit, Netanyahu doesn't take the easy way out. He doesn't use the deflection that Lex has offered. Instead, he uses his own deflection.
Well, you should ask a different question.
That's a classic case of dodging a question in plain sight. And he does so in a way that still makes him appear cooperative. But clearly Netanyahu is not answering the question about corruption. Instead, he spends the next 3 minutes trying to convince us that the charges are unjustified. But if you pay attention, you will notice that he does so without mentioning a single relevant or verifiable fact that's actually related to the charges. Instead, he goes on the offense by painting himself as the victim again.